But the cost of motorcycles was huge back in those days. I think the best thing which they did was Mangoes for Harley Davidson. I don't know if you know that story, right? The way they introduced motorcycles to you as a company, and everybody gets together because it's a culture. It's not a motorcycle company, it's sold on two wheels. The way to only sustain communities is only when you make the consumers believe it is you who's building it. We are just playing a part to help you to come together. And then it's yours.
I think this is the best few minutes on community that I've heard in a long time. And what do you write?
I ride the Iron, which was the first ever CBU which came into the country, 2009. Yeah, I like it and I like to talk about it because it has that VDG paint. Marketers should know how to sell. And I think we're the best ones to sell. We're better salespeople because we know our product, we can create stories, and consumers want to be fooled a bit. Once you ride a Harley Davidson or any motorcycle for that matter, your heart stays with two wheels for a long time. So I will never say I moved on. From cars to bikes to perfumes to bags, India has changed. We've come a long way.
As a marketer in the auto space, what is one thing which has changed all of these years, which is great, and one thing which is horrible? Hey Pallavi, how are you doing today?
I'm good, how are you?
First of all, tell me about the ride you did this morning. Saturday morning rides. I'm jealous, but I want to know more.
No, don't be. It was really mucky and humid, but nice. So I generally try and ride on Saturdays. Me and my husband, or sometimes with friends, or sometimes just alone. But today I went alone to Trip Machine. It's a little in the village. I think we just spoke about it.
Yeah.
Had a coffee, came back, and then played with my 3-year-old daughter. And then I came here.
Lovely. And what do you ride?
So we have two bikes, but I ride the Iron, which was the first ever CBU which came into the country, 2009. Yeah, I like it and I like to talk about it because it has that VDG paint. So it has that dark custom motorcycle paint, and I upgraded the bike to 1200. So, and I call it as a black pudding. So the name of the bike is Black Pudding.
It's quite nice. How many years since you moved from there?
Oh, I think I've never moved because, once you ride a Harley Davidson or any motorcycle for that matter, your heart stays with two wheels for a long time. So I will never say I moved on. But it's been some time, I think 2017 when I moved from Harley.
I can hear the heartbreak in your voice.
No.
Like, do you see stuff that the brand puts out now and like critique it sometimes, saying, "Ki ye kya kar rahe ho?"
No, I do. And I have friends still who are working at Harley.
Yeah.
So I keep telling them, but I think as a customer, not as a brand custodian or something like that. But they're doing fairly well. They're selling, so I think they're doing fairly well.
What's the brand? What's like in the entire journey of the brand in India? What's the one thing they've got right?
I say that what they got right is that the purpose is to fulfill dreams of personal freedom, right?
Yeah.
And I think that personification, when you talk to customers, and I am telling you, like every morning, I think I still want to wear my T-shirt, which talks about motorcycles, which talks about freedom. So I think that core, they've kept the core intact. Sticking to your core is always very important because that's where the soul of the brand comes from.
Yeah.
So that's the key.
Did you feel the weight of history on your shoulders, like when you were heading that kind of a mandate with a brand as iconic as that? Like, how did you feel? Like, will I screw it up? How do I take the legacy forward? Like, tell me about some of the insecurities you felt when you were at the helm.
I think I was so fortunate pehle to, because I was very young that time, and the good thing was that there were so many people who wanted to help you and say, dude, this is okay, this is not okay. The insecurity was, as a woman, and I'll be very honest, I'm not being gender biased or anything. It is intimidating to ride a big motorcycle. Yeah. And also people, when they come up and talk to you, they're like, isko kya pata hoga types. Like, so for me, it was very important to learn how to ride.
Yeah.
And the amount of effort, energy they put in making you learn how to ride a motorcycle and know why do we build a Sportster or a Softail or a V-Road or a Touring. Why is a Fat Boy different from a Road Glide or a Black Line, which I rode in the US long back, and how crazy that motorcycle was to ride, like with 8 handlebars and front control. I was like, I don't know whether I will survive, but I did. But so I think it was the biggest insecurity was that if I'm riding with consumers, because motorcycling is all about riding with people, right?
Yeah.
Knowing your consumers well, knowing what they like and why do they want to pick up this motorcycle? What is that different in this engine they like? So for me, the biggest insecurity was that will I be able to manage such a big motorcycle? Can I ride such a big bike? But I think the people, the way they introduce motorcycles to you as a company, and everybody gets together because it's a culture. It's not a motorcycle company. It's sold on two wheels. So it's very different. And second, I think was also because the market didn't exist that time. People and the cost of motorcycles was huge back in those days. I think the best thing which they did was mangoes for Harley Davidson. I don't know if you know that story, right?
Oh, okay.
So mangoes were exported out of India and Harleys were imported in India. So that was the whole thing which happened with the government, and that's how the CKD happened, right?
Wow.
That's how the structure of the tax structure for CKD happened. Otherwise, these bikes are so expensive to own. So that was very interesting. And the first campaign I still remember was Pure Harley, Pure India. So getting them to put this whole context of this big motorcycle company, open road, wind in your hair, to coming to India is Pure Harley, Pure India with like context of India in Jaipur and all of that.
Yeah.
It takes effort, energy, time for them to understand context. I think those time to this time has changed because India is such an important market. Now people understand if there is Bharat, you exist. If there is no Bharat, it is going to be tough for you because the money, the people, the generation want to own expensive products and ride or use or whatever, from cars to bikes to perfumes to bags to eating in good places. I think India has changed. We've come a long way.
Tell me what's the role of, say, creating a category, consumer education, especially at this end of the price pyramid, considering you said that when you started out, the category kind of didn't exist or kind of was tiny. So the grow category part of it, tell me about that a bit.
I think because of technology and data and digital, there is so much out there that you cannot influence the consumer mind unless your product can manifest what your product stands for. No matter how much of marketing, advertising, campaigns, celebrities, info, whatever you may use. If your product does not manifest that in reality, then you're going to maybe have some amount of interface or views or impressions or talking point for a while, maybe 30 days, not more than that.
Yeah.
So in my view, it's about really creating real stories and about real people and telling them in the most authentic way. Like the conversation we are having, like, it has to be real. It has to be authentic. It has to be your life. It has to be the struggle, the person, anybody who buys a luxury product today, a lot of middle class has struggled to reach to buy this. And that struggle, I think, is what people get inspired to. If this person can, so can I. If this person can own this today or want this or even aspire to dream. And that, I think that's what we need. And that to tell in a way that it touches your heart and it's a story which I would want to talk about to another friend or another colleague or to my parent or to my spouse or to my girlfriend or to my boyfriend or whoever you want to. I think that if you've cracked, that it organically spreads, which is very rare in today's day and age because of the way the algos are built, is to create content which can and create stories that can touch your heart. And if it does, then I think the growth trajectory is easy. Still not that easy today because there is so much consumption of information, so much happening in your personal lives which didn't exist before, right? As people, we have changed. We want so much more in every aspect of our life. So for marketers or for brand or for people or for companies, it's become harder. So the only way I feel is to really inspire people through authentic storytelling and keep doing it, be at it, because that'll take time. It's a long lead time.
Yeah.
It's not like today you did it and tomorrow it's going to see, and you're going to, whatever you're selling or whatever you want to, it's going to see a uptake, which is what businesses sometimes don't understand because they want everything now and here. So, yeah.
There are a lot of tributaries of what you spoke, so I want to pick up like one of them. You spoke about aspiration and telling stories. So I know you're from Chandigarh, and like I have Punjabi roots myself, right? So one thing that we obviously hear a lot is that Punjabis are show-offs, right? But like I was having a conversation with somebody, and he gave me kind of a socio-cultural kind of a context to it. Like these were a group of people who lost it all during the partition. They had to build everything from scratch with their hands. So when you do that and you want to signal that, hey, I've arrived again and I've done it myself, what do? You take the clutches of products like these, right? And that's how you signal. So I want to like double click, since you worked on multiple brands which kind of help people project that certain sell, whether it's Harley or BMW or a bunch of others, right? How does a marketer play that game, right? In case your product helps somebody project a certain self-image or signal success. So how to play that game?
I think playing that game, actually you can't play that game, first of all, I think. It's about really understanding the journey of that person, he or she, and really telling it from their lens. Now, that often a lot of brands honestly have started to leverage. And you see that whether it's, a four-wheeler or a two-wheeler, they're trying to use or leverage their customers to inspire other people to have same stories. But the difference, in my view, lies in how beautifully you're able to tell that story in a very simple way, that how it started. Like, if I were to give you an example, there is a gentleman called Zubin Major. He's from Bangalore. And, a pilot. I don't know whether he now flies or not. But when Harley was coming to India, he had an ailment and he could not fly or ride. When Harley came to India, his dream was always to ride the big fat boy and feel like that. We found out through somebody, and we made sure that he knows that he'll be the first customer who will get to get this motorcycle from, somebody from the company, and do something very special for him. He made sure that he will go to the best therapist, the best doctor, which he was not doing before, to ensure that he sits on the two wheels. So I still remember when the Bangalore dealership opened, he was the first customer we delivered the motorcycle to, and his smile was year to year. And he became the first ever Hawk director to actually do all the rides in South. And the first ride, I still remember, he planned was the ride to Hampi, from Bangalore to Hampi. And we were, I think, how many of us, should be 70 of us riding motorcycles together. And he led that. And he said that, and it's still, I still get goosebumps thinking about it, to a lot of us in the company who were responsible for building it. There were so many people, right, who actually thought about doing it in the purest way. And he came up and said, you guys have changed my life. You changed something in me which I thought I will never be able to do. And now that kind of emotion, you can't fake. That kind of story, you can't fake. Today people will know. And I think the more stories like this you can find and tell to more people is the only way marketers can differentiate from real inspiring stories to intellectual stories. I feel intellectual stories are so many out there, but inspiring stories where people had health issues or ailments, but whether it was a product or a story of another person, inspired them to actually stand on their own feet and live their life, not to just build a business, but start living. I think as people, we've stopped living. And if a brand can tell them how you can live again, because we were born to live and be happy. And that is, I think that's the difference, how you can take care of yourself as an individual and as a person to be happy. That's what a lot of these brands do, right? It's of course about your family and all of that, but ultimately it's about you. What are you doing for yourself? And I think that's the tipping point in my view. I don't know if I make sense, but
Lovely. I absolutely love that. I'll tell you a story, like a tiny one. So when I used to head marketing for Diesel, right, in one of the stores in Palladium in Bombay, somebody walked in and kind of just pulled up their sleeve and they had a tattoo. Like I'm now meeting somebody who has probably seen much more of that. When I saw that, and the store manager kind of sent me an image saying that, hey, somebody's coming, what do we do? So I was like, "Usko jo chahiye de do," right? Just give them whatever. Like if they buy something, don't buy something, just give them whatever we have. But I felt the weight of expectation on my shoulders, right? As a marketer, I felt this is a brand not owned by me. I happen to be working on it for 4 years, but this is a brand owned by the people. It's a lifestyle owned by the people. And I feel 10x more intense version is what you would have seen. So tell me about that.
So most of these brands, and I'm about to say, whether in fact, even if it's, today in India, and I'm giving context of another brand like a Napadori, which is right,
I love it.
10 years?
So nice,
I think 10 years maybe or some. I think Gautam is the founder. And what they've created through such small base of products, and now, of course, much large. I still remember picking up the first ever bag from there, my laptop bag, and I thought it's so expensive. But the quality, the way they present themselves, and all of that, what I'm trying to say is that it's all to do with ultimately starting with your product. Your product has to manifest where you want the brand to take. Brands are built on the basis of products. Brands are nothing without, creating stories which have no great products. I just can't relate to it anymore. There was a time maybe back in the 60s or the 70s, but not anymore. So I'll give you, a story. When I had gone for 110th anniversary for Harley Davidson, and we were also, they do a parade, which happens in the center of the city, and the mayor comes and
Milwaukee.
Yes, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we were all standing, in around the fence where the parade goes, and we saw people from so many parts of the world carrying the flags and having special costumes and making their motorcycles stand in their own way, like they had personalized their motorcycles to represent their country and what they stand for. And each motorcycle looked very different, felt very different. And the amount of passion these guys had to say, hey, I'm from, and Canadians usually are, they catch attention most times. And they'll be like, hey, I'm from Canada. Hey, I'm from Japan. And Japanese are always like, arigato, like that. And you saw different people with different motorcycles sharing so much love for one brand and saying that, because of this, or every single year we come for the anniversary, or we go to Sturgis, or we go to Daytona. I think the sublime message is that they make friends for life. They become friends for life. And most of these, whether you maybe drive an M car, or maybe the Mercedes AMG, or you drive the top-end Porsche, or you drive a motorcycle, the difference I feel with 2 wheels and 4 wheels is that you will always notice when you're on a motorcycle, even if you're driving a Royal Enfield or you're driving any motorcycle where there is that sense of brotherhood or sisterhood or camaraderie, they will always stop. No matter if they know you or not, they will always stop. In cars, they often don't stop. But motorcycles, I will, if I'm on the bike, I see a Royal Enfield guy standing and he's trying to, I will stop. Like, do you need help? Or I've seen so many people helping me when this happens. And, there's a gentleman called Otis from Bombay. And I still remember this was the National Hog Rally in Goa. And he stopped at an ATM and he saw a wallet at the ATM. And he said, oh my God, I don't know this. He opened it and he saw a hog card. He spoke to the chapter manager and he said, dude, I'm at the ATM. This is the guy. He said, oh, we know because they are all riding in chapters. He's actually 200 kilometers away. That Otis had to go somewhere else, but he actually went 200 kilometers to actually give the wallet to the guy. Now, back in those days in 2013, data wasn't so good and so many other things, right? But they are friends for life now. And, the kind of things people have done for each other, whether it is supporting each other in crisis or any kind of personal, emotional trauma, uh, that if a brand can create, and it's very, very difficult, but that is happening only because of one reason. They're all riding a motorcycle, and they will never say that I ride a fat boy or I ride a Sportster or a road glide they'll always say I
You don't
ride.
flex on each other that I have the big
No,
one.
so they will always talk about I did this to my bike. I've upgraded my engine. Like I was saying, oh no, I don't ride a 800cc now. I have a 1200. I've souped up my motorcycle. You talk about what you've done on your bike, right? But you always will say I ride a Harley Davidson. It's like buddy to buddy. It's not like you will always talk about मैंने किया क्या है बाइक के ऊपर. But you will never try and say कि मैं ये चलाता हूँ, ये चलाती हूँ. So that, and there are so many stories, how many will I tell you? But there are the sublime message which I'm trying to actually share with you is that it is about, he's my brother, she's my sister, and we got to take care of each other no matter what. And that I haven't experienced with anything else but with motorcycles. And I've made friends for life, like friends who are like family now. And so that is a tough one to crack,
Yeah.
It's a very tough one to crack.
It's an impossible one to crack.
It is impossible. It is, I don't know, in coffees, maybe people who, I love drinking coffee, so maybe Nespresso. And, every time you go, you want to pick up that best capsule of coffee you want. And that is coming up, but still it is very personal, right? It is you. Or people who like to read books, like book clubs, where you're trying to share something about what touched you from one story to one author. I think that's also one aspect where people get inspired with each other because of what people have gone through in their life. So there anything which is more community driven, in my view, where people get together and are open to share, and they don't mind sharing their insecurities and what went wrong. And, I want to share something which I was trying to do, but I couldn't. This relationship didn't work or this business didn't work. And they're okay to talk about it. Very rare can you do that.
Yeah.
Until it's a school friend or a hostel friend, So that...
I like the word you used, community, which is like the most bastardized word that we have in marketing today. I'm not making this up. 4 days back, somebody messaged me that say and this person was leading an agency. He's like, the client has given me a brief to run a community. And he's like, okay, what do you think about it? Can you help me out? I was like, of course, I'll tell you what I know. This was a Saria brand. Like it was literally a TMT Saria brand which wanted to build a community. So what riles me up is like, it's not a content distribution channel, which is what it's been relegated to in a lot of places. Brand-led communities are just a horrible idea. And I think this is like the 2024 version of like something which is endemic to marketing, like even earlier. Like, for example, we used to have like washing powder brands talking about like changing the world. Like इतना ज़्यादा purpose आप abstract करके ऊपर ले गए कि अभी ये ज़मीन नहीं दिख रहा आपको. So that's what have you learned about community, right? And how can you, for example, if somebody listening to this wants to build a community, obviously, like, let me tell you, it's going to be impossible for you to do something even as close as what you guys did. But if somebody has to come in, like, how do they bring in that authenticity? Saying, okay, ये real community. It's not like a brand building another channel and paying some bots to talk to each other.
So, I'm glad you used the word real.
Yeah.
And I think because the world we live in, and there is so much commotion and so much information on internet, that we have forgotten that human beings are meant to interact in real, which means when you meet each other, not virtually, but physically.
Right.
And I think that's the only way. And when World War happened, right, back in those days, and then all these, people from the Marine or from the Army came back, it was about all of these guys getting together, and that's how the culture of motorcycling started back in those days, right? Because people wanted to meet and talk. I feel today, the world we live in, it is very important. If you really want to build a community, it has to be, and I don't want to use that word phygital because I just don't like it, but it has to be present and thought about from how you would want your family to be, you know. And that's when you are able to really create a real community. Because
Yeah.
I feel today brands are trying to create community just for their selfish interests,
True.
which are primarily to do with, I want to sell this new product, I want to sell this new whatever, accessory or general merchandise or whatever, and you do that. There are people who would want to do it. But the way to only sustain communities is only when you make the consumers believe it is you who's building it.
Yeah.
We are just playing a part to help you to come together.
Yeah.
And then it's yours. It is you. Because if you try to be this anchor and this stalwart saying, because you're from our brand and we are doing this, consumers don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, and that's a tough one to crack, because the brand has to have that one thing
Yeah.
which is stitching these people together. Now, that could be information. That could be how you can take care of your product. That could be maybe to do with, there are certain things you will get if you are part of the community. You have to find the why the person would want every Sunday or once in a month to just come in, be part and talk about something which they don't want to in general, because they're all busy, right? Most of these guys have their own businesses or they have their own work or all of that. But largely, they come together to know if they've bought a product, even if it's an EV, for example, or an EV scooter or an EV car, or normalized scooter or a normalized car, or even for that matter, if you were in fashion and there are special kind of, stuff you make which are personalized, one single and you don't get. It's about how did you build it, and, how can I take care of it? And how can I take care of my motorcycle? We generally meet for motorcycle rides. Why? What did you do on the bike? I also want to do. I want to get personalized paint job on it or whatever, all of that, right? It in my view, it's tough, and I'm just trying to think that it is largely to do with consumers feeling that if I am part of these newer people I know,
Yeah.
either I'll make new friends.
Yeah.
Some people are lonely today,
Absolutely.
and there are so many issues on mental health and stuff like that. Second is, if the brand is able to enable me to get something which is limited edition or new, if I'm part of it, I'm the first one. I'm that exclusive club to get access to stuff. And now that exclusivity is something people are always wanting.
Yeah.
But still, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to promote you. I'm not going to promote the brand. But I want to be part of it to learn and then tell other people as well that I'm that exclusive guy who gets access to a lot of things, because that's how humans are built.
Yeah.
So I think exclusivity, personalization, and finding that why somebody will come and spend their 2 hours on a Saturday or a Sunday
Yeah.
with you, or that set of people, you have to identify and stick to it. You can't keep, most brands, I also feel, keep changing their narrative. Keep changing. Today is something else, tomorrow is something else, because it's all moving with the ladder of business. But most of the emotional things don't move with the ladder of business. Communities are always and always, I think, built on an emotional quotient of something changing in my life. When I bought this product, but whatever I did, whether it is a book community or a motorcycle community, or maybe people making clay pots for that matter, it has to be something which is changing something in my life for better. For better. And whether it's friendship, whether it's learning a new art, whether it's something which I wanted to do as a child and I didn't do. And I'm now being enabled because I bought this product. That is different. Like, for example, BMW does this, ride with M cars, or Mercedes does with AMG, or Royal Enfield does this Himalayan Odyssey.
Yeah.
It is something you wanted to do as a young child, but you couldn't do. Time, avenue, money, so many other things.
Yeah.
Also time, because most times you don't have time now to think, I will go to BIC, who will get me access? It is so expensive. How will I ride there? Who will get my car from Bombay? All of that, that's all done for you. Now, that people would want to wait and ensure that let me stick, let me not shift. Now, that all to me is get the pulse of the customer where they feel, oh my God, like giving that smile to the child or the parent when he sits on it, and maybe getting somebody to sign something for him or her, the little baby, he or she follows. I think these are things which people will always remember for life as they grow up, or even when they're grown up.
I think this is the best few minutes on community that I've heard in a long time.
Oh, really?
And
Oh, I'm
really
so glad.
authentic. So what I'm taking out from it is some kind of exchange of value. When you said information, relationships, warmth, whatever. But it has to be many to many. It can't be one to many. Like the brand can't be the one kind of just dispensing it. So I love that. Shifting gears to BMW, since you picked that up, right? They are, and I'm not saying this is kind of what would have been your experience at BMW. There's some brands which are kind of the Indian subsidiaries and the marketers who kind of hold those mandates. They sometimes feel there's limited headroom, there's limited legroom to kind of do what I want to do. A large part of what I do and how the brand is dictated by the HQ. It ends up being frustrated experiences. I've headed a few brands which were headquartered out of Italy, so they have a very kind of strict view of how they want the brand to be represented. So do you feel that happens when you're kind of leading a brand in India? And you have to make it global as well as localized, but you also have somebody breathing down your neck on HQ. So what's your experience there?
I think there was a time when things like this happened. I don't know whether they happen even now. They do, but there is a reason why brands do this, in my view, wherever they come from, whether it's Italian or American or German or Chinese or British or whatever.
Yeah.
It's to build consistency, right? And consistency is important because if you like that product because you saw it somewhere, you traveled in the world, and there was a reason you liked it for. Now, when it comes to this part of the world, especially Asia in general, it can't just have a very different meaning, because I didn't relate to you because of how you are now in Asia, but I related to you because how I saw this particular brand outside.
Yeah.
So I think the reason it happens is about consistency. You cannot change your narrative or your concept or how the product is manifested or seen or believed or the purpose as per the countries it goes in.
Yeah.
But I think largely it is to do with context, because India is different. Similarly, China is different, Philippines is different, Indonesia is different. All these markets are different. I think brands have now understood that it's important to show context. And that context has to be kept in a way that it resonates with the country you're selling in. And that largely has changed a lot because the business is coming from Asia. When the business, ultimately all of this is linked, if the business starts doing well, all of this starts to work, then context, relatability has to come in. Till the time the business does not come in, and relatability to, I can't disturb my core sitting there just for some thousands here.
Yeah.
So that's the dichotomy in my view.
Yeah.
But largely, I feel it's good to do it. That's my personal view, to keep consistency, because brands take time to build. And if you try and change too many things, then you're not confusing yourself. You're confusing the customer. That what do you stand for? Like, who are you? And today I also feel that what a brand stands for, does a consumer really care? I mean, I think the world, we don't, because there are so many brands today, where not just in the automotive space or the mobility space, in general. I relate to you as a consumer is because you're fulfilling a need or a want in my life.
Yeah.
Till the time you're feeling that want, which is nice, I feel good about owning, and need, which is largely to do with whether it's food or it's to do with basic amenities, I'm okay, and people don't want to, there was a time when you wanted to flash everything. Today people are saying, I don't want to own and be seen with one single brand. I don't want to be associated with one single thing. I'm a diverse person. I want to experience everything. Yeah. So I think it's important that as people or marketers or people who are sitting on the top, to understand that you have to change with time as consumers are changing. And there are so many personas of consumers that you can't say one fit all. You'll have to keep experimenting and know what hit the nail and stick to it then. You can't keep changing them. So I guess that's Does that make sense? Oh,
It does, definitely does. You have like large breadth of experiences within auto, right? So I want to say, right from Yamaha to your current mandate, uh, as a automobile marketer, let's just call it that for convenience, right? As a marketer in the auto space, what is one thing which has changed all of these years, which is great, and one thing which is horrible?
I think what has changed is that with time, the products have become more better, and from a safety point of view,
Yeah.
because Indians didn't really care for having safer vehicles. Because of access to worldwide travel or education or information, we have started to understand that having a great product is amazing, but driving or riding a safe product is much more and more important. I think that has changed, and I think it's very, very good. And government is putting so much focus, brands put focus, and we are going in the area that safety comes first.
Yeah.
Specifically on bikes, now you see anybody who's riding a big bike, usually, thank God for it, that you always see them with full face helmet, full riding gear. That didn't happen a few years back, right? Unless you really pushed people. And Indians, any which ways, feel कोई बात नहीं, वो छोटा सा स्टील बर्ड का भी हेलमेट पहनो तो सेफ हो जाओगे. That's not true. Even if you're riding a छोटा सा scooter, you still have to wear a full face helmet to protect yourself. So I think that safety angle has changed.
Yeah.
Safety in terms of NCAP rating, how people are looking at it, brands are investing on it. That has shifted.
That's good.
That's fabulous.
And what shit?
Uh,
As from marketer's vantage point, like what part of your job as a marketer versus when you started out versus now, do you think I wish it was done how it was done in the old days? Yeah, let's just call it that.
I think the romance of storytelling has gone. I feel that we've become very here and now and do stuff like get creatives out, get information out, bombard consumers, not thinking that consumers don't just consume your product, they consume everything. So, it's very campaign to campaign, not from a lens of, I still like this ad of Bullet. I don't know. It's the 60s or the 70s.
Bullet Meri Jaan.
Bullet Meri Jaan. And, and then how it goes from different terrains, and then the policeman coming and this coming and the song. It still makes me smile. Like that thing of when you saw an ad and it made you smile. It changed something. It touched your heart. I can't remember any of it. Like I can't remember any one in last 5 years which made me feel how nice it is.
In last 5 years,
I-
like in all of auto altogether.
I can't remember. I just can't. There's nothing coming to me right now, Nothing coming to me.
Yeah.
And in general, not just on any advertising or any campaign doesn't hit me. The only one, maybe the Super Bowl ones which come, that you will remember, that you don't forget because of the nature of, the sport. But yeah, so I think that to me is you want that, and maybe if that comes and somebody builds something like that, it would be nice, because we are always putting product, which is right, because ultimately it has to be, the build up to that.
Has to be more.
It has to be more.
Yeah, it can't just be
Has to
that.
be more, Has to be more. And I think that's what people are now going towards. Why is it that in cinema today and, with OTT and all of that,
Yeah.
why do we like stuff like Mirzapur, for example, or we, so many other things which have come on Amazon Prime. Something is different. It's touching. Instead of just keep seeing those blockbusters, stupid new songs and sing and not dance stuff. So people want to see different stuff, and it's more difficult to make. It's tough to make because everybody is trying to crack कि इससे मेरी कितनी गाड़ी बिक जाएगी, कितना स्कूटर बिक जाएगा, कितना मोटरसाइकिल बिक जाएगा, and it's here and now. The here and now to becoming long term, I think that's what brands did years back. I have this. In the 80s, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but not even the 80s. I think in the 60s. I don't know if you know. It's a story you can read about it. He picked up a pebble from the shore and realized that every pebble is different. It means every person is different. Everybody has their own individual personalities. And he said it's a great business idea. I could pick up pebbles or small rocks in a way and do packaging around it and say that you as a person, as an individual, are very different. I'm different from you and he's different from me, and started packaging those stones in different ways. It became a very multi-billion-dollar company over a period of time. But it's called the Pebble Story. You can read about it on internet.
That is some.
So I was like, I think it's about packaging, but it's also about packaging which is changing something in the consumer's life. Not genuinely, yes. Not for just one small period of time, but a length of time. So that's becoming tougher and tougher and tougher.
His marketing in EV is frustrating because, like, I spoke to Pranesh, who heads the Ather brand. So, and he keeps saying, he's like, my job is pretty much customer education, right? Like just dispelling those purchase barriers. And a large part of it is also highly regulated by the government. So there's stuff which you can say, there's stuff which you can't say. And there's like just this big mountain to climb on consumer barriers to purchase. So do you think it's a frustrating place for a marketer to be?
I think it's exciting, not frustrating, because you have to really think and make narratives which is making people understand the why. Why should you want it? And it's interesting, and I won't say it'll be ever frustrating because it's something so new. Otherwise, you're doing the same shit all the time. So that's why I keep saying that in a category like this, it is key that you get your hands dirty, you get your feet on the ground, and ultimately more people accessing your product, experiencing and doing more trials will help to expand the market, right? And that only happens when you're able to create the market in a way that more people feel, I want to own it today. And that today is a problem which he must be referring to because of so many other aspects which are related to a mobility product, right? And I say mobility because it's not just going from point A to point B. You have a connected app, you know what's going on, how are you riding. And largely people want to own EVs today because of cost of ownership, So that's the big play. That's the big play. And educating people more and more about it ultimately will help the country become a better place to live.
But like if you see the entire, let's just put a pyramid out of it, right? At the base, you have category communication, which is like just about range anxiety and cost of ownership and stuff like that. And then you layer on the functional conversation, which is mera scooter better hai, right? And then you come to the emotional part of the conversation, which sits right on top, which is the earlier part of our conversation, which is where you start telling stories about your brand. The frustrations I think where I come from is that we are still at the bottom of the pyramid and we are not able to access the top because we want to do that. It's just that there's so much to solve here that we're not able to abstract on the higher levels as well and kind of just do true brand building which is differentiated. So the conversation is still category, the conversation is still product, rather than going emotional where it should go, like for brands to be built. So
you're right, but largely we are going in that direction any which ways. And there's a reason. It's not just about EV, but largely you see all across because there's so much pressure of performance. Perform now. There was a time, even if in those categories back in the days, there were new categories coming. There were new kind of stuff coming in. Hybrid came in. You never felt like that. It's just here and now pressure because that's the way economy is going. That's the way the world is moving at this point. So I think it's also a great opportunity for marketers because you're also seeing it as from a lens of business. And it's important to see it from the lens of business because if the business sustains is when marketers can do what they want to do and create magic out of whatever they want to do, right? We all have to love the debonair of advertising, but you also have to love databases. And you have to understand that the world of marketing changed, man. It has changed. And you better change with it. You want to create this whole pace, and it's good to have, and it's lovely and beautiful, inspires people. But that inspiration has to lead to the bottom of the funnel. It can't be that it's out there and you keep doing it, but if it's not seeing the bottom of the funnel moving or shaking or even trials happening, then something is not working.
Yeah.
And that, because in few years back we didn't have technology and we didn't have that kind of back-end infrastructure to see all of it in terms of customer journeys to come together and see what's not moving and what's moving. That's why we took time and dependent on research agencies and stuff like that. Today we don't. We just can catch in 24 hours and change this journey, get this out, make this happen. Maybe, the cues have to be different. And that is beautiful. I think technology has really helped marketers to make a stronger place for them in boardrooms, which didn't exist.
Yeah. It's more objective now, right?
Yeah, it has to be. Ultimately, the magic only happens when the objectivity comes. It's when you're doing your own business, you will always want objectivity to come first.
Absolutely.
So I guess that shift of the mind and the narrative for especially the young people who are trying to get into the world of advertising, marketing. And I feel that it's not advertising and marketing anymore.
Yeah.
It's about ensuring that you are selling well with the purpose of why. Sell. Marketers should know how to sell.
Yeah.
If you can sell. And I think we're the best ones to sell. We're better salespeople because we know our product. We can create stories. And consumers want to be fooled a bit, right?
Of course.
We are really good at fooling sometimes. And it's good. Why not? And it's also to then do with how do you create that magic, but also ensure that your sales and I take care of after sales now, but I feel that service, like you look at hospitality, right? You go into an Oberoi's today, and if they know that you pray, they will ensure one thing. They will. I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you ever stay at the Oberoi's, you go and if you pray. And if some people carry their little gods with them, right? And you put it, they will always make sure that they will keep flowers or petals not around the god, but keep it on the side so that you can do it yourself. Now, this little detail is what marketing is what service is. And I think, after me doing after sales, I've realized that after sales is a very behind the scene work, but that's true marketing. Because if you're able to serve and do hospitality to that extent of detailing, that when a consumer comes into a showroom and he picked up a red car or a whatever, a grey motorcycle or a black motorcycle last time, and he says, sir, how's your black motorcycle doing? And they're just little small things. He likes a cappuccino or a cold coffee or a an iced Americano. And when they come in, sir, would you like an iced Americano? Like, oh my God, he knows. That, and we ignore these things. We ignore as marketers or service people. But if somebody did that to me, I was like, oh my God. Like, it's not just selling all the time to me कि ये गाड़ी ले लो, ये ले लो, वो ले लो, या ये कपड़ा खरीद लो. It's about knowing me.
I think luxury brands do this quite well, right? Like, especially in fashion, like I've seen, and I don't want to give out a lot, but I've seen stores keeping decks of saying that this is the customer, this is the photo, this is the cigar that he likes, this is the single malt that he likes, and this is what he buys for his wife, this is what he buys for his girlfriend, and so on and so forth, right? So that's the level of course, it's freaky, but that's what a lot of stores kind of do.
Retail does it very well and beautiful, and it has been happening for a long time. Not in automotive for a long time. Till date, no. And there is a reason to it because of the back-end infrastructures and technologies. If it's not stitched together well in hospitals, hospitals, I really give that example because they know their patients so well, right? And hotels, airlines, they do it very well. And even for that matter, fashion brands do it very well. But when you come on this side where it's more expensive because they sometimes don't invest in technology platforms, is when they're not able to know their customer journey fully. So automotive in this is still far-fetched and far behind as compared to any other category. They still have a way to reach as compared to, very evolved service brands. Come from a service mindset.
Like hospitality,
Like,
airlines,
yes.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Retail.
Yeah.
I'm taking a lot out of this conversation, but there's one question which I really like asking everyone, so I'll put the same one at you. If you were 25 today, right, and you were starting out, what would you do differently in the next 90 days to set yourself up for success as a marketer?
You know, I would find somebody as a mentor and not go on internet and not find information.
Like somebody super senior or like somebody more their age?
Somebody I'm not saying, see, you know what you want, especially today who's 25, 26, because of the information they have had over a period of time, they somehow know what is it that I want to do.
Yeah.
You need to really find somebody you can relate to and somebody you think could help you guide that path. Guiding that path, I think, is the key. And I did that when I was 25, 26. Like finding somebody I could sit down and talk about my fear. And most of the time, we have a fear that we will fail.
Yeah.
That fear of failure is what keeps us at bay and not to talk to anybody. Finding person, whoever that person is, finding a mentor, or finding somebody you can sit down every single week and say, this is my progress.
Yeah.
And I think you need to note your progress. Am I moving? Am I not moving? Am I moving? Am I not moving? And that noting that progress helps you to know whether I'm going to reach my path which I want to reach. Second is whatever you want to do, you need to be so bloody good at it. You have to know your product. Whatever it, and you have to be best at it then. Whether you want to be in the music industry, you should better well know what great music right now is happening, is going to happen. Be just like, you have to be passionate about that particular thing you want to do. And know it very well. That you would know the past, present, and potentially what's going to come because everything is available. So that information and that hunger to know and know it in a way that it makes you stand out when you have conversation, that I know my shit. And I think that's very important. You can't be at a superficial level. People can gauge. People will know you're superficial. Today, we all have access to a lot of things. So be passionate. Have somebody you know, mentor. And last not the least, whatever you want to indulge yourself and want to do, know that particular thing in and out. Whether it's from a business modeling point of view, to know what that product potentially can relate to. Build that in some ways I say, build that house in your head. This is how my house has to look like. And then you'll be able to put pieces together. And those pieces are then the people who actually help you build the house. This house is not built by one person anyways.
That's a lovely way to close it out. Thank you so much, Pallavi. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm sure folks listening in really would love the authenticity of it. And we'll keep staying tuned for seeing what's next from you.
Thank you so much. It was lovely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pallavi.